Myself and Joanna. You'll see their beautiful pictures. So I'm here at the Petawawa Military Family Resource Center. I've been working in this position for 12 years, so I've got lots and lots of experience with deployments. Seen deployments from DART team going to Sri Lanka, to Haiti. I've seen deployments to Afghanistan, to Bosnia for the last rodeo. I've seen deployments to the Poland last time, and then been in preparation with these Ukraine deployments for sure as well. So I've got lots of variety there, and I've got lots of experience from different spouses and mothers that I've seen gone through the different deployments. And then I'm going to pass over the turn to Joanna to introduce herself a little bit more.
Hello, ladies. So I am joining you from lovely Victoria, British Columbia. So it's only 4 o'clock here. I am the virtual program developer for Military Family Services U.S. and Yellowknife, so specifically for families who are deployed on outcams to U.S. and also Yellowknife is considered part of that just because they are so remote. It's almost like being on an outcam. So I use this virtual classroom platform to bring information to families who are spread out all over the United States and Yellowknife. And so just a quick little bit of housekeeping here. You'll notice over on the right-hand side of the screen is the participant panel, and that's where you see all of our names. And just something you want to look for is to the right of your name is a little camera and a little microphone. If you find that you're having a lot of background noise, you've got people in the back talking or someone chatting with you, if you could just mute yourself so that we're not getting all that background noise. And then you'll just have to remember to unmute yourself if we ask a question or if you'd like to share a story. So Patricia, do you see that little microphone as well?
Yes, definitely.
You're allowed, and feel free to keep it off if you want or on, whichever you feel more comfortable with. I have some animals in the background, and so you'll often see mine muted just so that you don't hear my dog barking. But anyways, welcome everybody. We're so happy to have you. I know it's a small group, but even just reaching 1 or 2 extra people using a virtual platform, we're doing the best we can to get information to everyone. So thanks for coming tonight.
Super, thank you, Joanna. And the reason why we're doing this virtual session is because Petawawa for us is very new going this route in terms of virtual. And I'm really looking at exploring and hearing from deployed families what you guys are looking for, or gals, I should say, are looking for, and different needs that could be, because we are looking at doing some more programming virtually. We found that from many of you, we've heard that it's a little bit busy to come in at night or even on weekends for some programming that we're trying to do. And through Joanna's teaching and another person, we're able to see how we can bring things a little bit more differently, where you can get the information, where you can interact with others and do different things. So as we go out through the session, keep things in mind that you see the things you would like, because there'll be a little bit of questionnaire at the end and where we're asked that information. So that could be some potential for in the future. So we're going to be moving on for the next page. So this is what we're going to be looking at for today. Now, I am going to turn off my video just so that we can go through the sessions a little bit quicker. And the bandwidth, I find, with the internet connections is a little bit better. So at any time, we can turn it back on and you can still see my beautiful face. But for now, I will turn it off there. So we've done through the introduction and through our agenda. A few housekeeping notes, because this is a virtual class. So just like we do face-to-face sessions, so if you're in a workshop of some sort, well, we'll talk about, just common things that we can do as a person to be respectful to each other and different conversations that we may have. And so we'll have the same thing here virtually. Then we're going to look in terms of who you are. So we want to get to know yourself as well. Just a little introduction about yourselves and the deployment that you're going through. And of course, then I want a little bit more feedback in terms of deployment. So knowing a little bit more how you prepare and what you do when you learn that your family or your loved ones are going to be deployed. We'll show you a little bit of some tools, some information that we have, things that you can use. And then looking at some of the stressors and possible solutions that you may have. So while you're going through a deployment, what are some of these stressors that you have? And that you live through, and what are some things that you can do or we can do to help you solve them. Again, talking about post-deployment. So once you've prepared for it, you've gone through it, now it's the end and they're coming back. Do you do anything? Do you prepare for anything just to remerge that person back in your lives? And then, of course, the evaluation, because that's the way that we're able to see that here. This is what we've done well. These are things that we can improve on, or these are different topics that we can approach in the future. And, of course, more time for questions and comments if we have them. And then we've got just a wrap-up thank you and a few little prizes to give away. Is there any questions before we move ahead?
Nope.
Okay, and you can hear me well for sure? Perfect.
Yes.
Thank
yes,
you.
You're coming through nice and clear.
Super, thank you.
Great.
So, go ahead.
Did you want me to share what the gift certificates are? Or?
Yes, please. Yes, go ahead.
So, for Charlene and Patricia, your gifts today may include a voucher for casual childcare at the PMFRC, a PSP programming gift certificate, a Tim's card, I know that's going to be the hot one, a stainless steel water bottle, or a beach ball. Please stop by the Northside location to pick up your prize between 8 and 4 p.m. Or you can make alternate arrangements with Francis if you can't make it to the center.
You've got a beautiful radio voice, Joanna. Thank you.
I do this for a living.
Awesome. Super.
And we live 8 hours away, so we won't be stopping by.
Well, Charlene, we can always mail it to you. That's always an option.
It's all good.
All right, so for housekeeping notes, whoop, went a little bit too fast here. So for housekeeping notes, we asked you to come in to log in just a few minutes earlier, just so that we could troubleshoot and make sure that everything was going well. So that's the main reason for it. So thank you again for logging in a little bit earlier. We're asking you to turn off any emails or other distractions in your home. So making sure that, sign on the door, close door if you can, no TV or radio, just to be able to be in the same environment as we all are and be able to concentrate on what we're doing. So similar as what we do in a face-to-face session. And we're asking you to participate. So anytime you have a question, anytime you have a comment, you have thought about something, please share and go through the discussion. This is basically a two-way thing, so it's not about me or Joanna talking all the time and just you listening. We definitely want your feedback. Having said that, I've blocked about an hour and a half time for today, so if we're going too long in terms of talking, then I may have to shorten it a little bit, but we'll go we'll see as we go. And then trying to create a safe environment. So what is said here stays here. So we're sharing different situations that are going through our lives in terms of deployment. So it's not about identifying you or repeating to others what's being said. So just looking a little bit more confidentiality. And then at the end, of course, the survey that we've already talked about. Just looking for more programming that we can do in the future. And I hope you have fun, and I hope you enjoy our session today.
Awesome.
Perfect. So to have you interact a little bit more throughout this session, we'll introduce you to a few tools that you can use. So at the bottom of the participants panel, you saw the menu bar with the different tools. So Joanna's already talked about where your name is, about the video camera and the microphone that you can turn on and off. We've already used the chat, so where you can send us a message. Now we've heard from Patricia, but Charlene, can I ask you to maybe to type into the chat section, just to confirm that you know where it is, that it's functioning well. So if there's any questions or if there are any comments, that's another way for you to type it in. So just type in to say hello. Yes, just for you. Perfect. Super, Charlene. Thank you. Now moving on to the middle of it, so where Joanna was with her nice big arrow. See, there's a hand, there's a check mark, an X, and then there's those two triangles for forward and reverse, and etc.
Yeah.
So those are all different emoticons that's there for you to use. So for example, if we're talking about something and Charlene, you have a question, then I'm asking for you to press on the hand. So when you activate the hand, so you click once, then it says, okay, Charlene has a question. We see it visually, and then we're able to say, okay, yes, we need to ask Charlene for a question. Perfect. And now for the check mark, the green one, we use as a yes, and then as the X as a no. So if I ask a question in terms of, is it raining where you are, green check if it's yes, or X if it's no. So it's I'm looking outside, No for Petawawa. It's not raining at the moment.
Oh,
It's not raining for Charlene, and it's raining for, oh, no, not raining for Patricia. Perfect. No rain anywhere. And then for the two triangles that you see, forward and reverse, so that's basically the faster or slower. So if you see that I'm talking too fast, if you see I'm talking too slow, those are different icons that you can press on just to, again, use a little bit more just for that we can get some feedback from you guys. Perfect, you guys are trying it out, super. And then the next one. Now there's a drop down. You see the little arrow that's right beside that picture that's there. So if you drop it down, it opens up a big menu where you see lots of different, so clapping hands, smiley face, coffee cup, and etc. So those are all the emoticons that we use. So same as you do for text or email that you see that you're able to, yes, I'm happy, all is good. That's something that, that's available there for you. The third one in, the coffee cup, that's the one I'm going to ask you to keep in mind. So for example, if I need to leave and enter the door, enter the telephone, or go to the washroom, that's what I will use. I will put my coffee mug on, so that means I'm away. I'm connected, I'm well, all is good, but I'm just away from the computer at the moment, and I will be returning. As soon as I come back, I turn it off. It means I'm here and I'm back. If ever we're going to this session and I'm asking a question to Patricia, and Patricia is not answering me and she does not have a coffee mug, then one of us, Joanna or I, will try to reach out to her and see if she can still connect it and if all looks well.
Yeah, and it might hurt your feelings.
Pardon?
It might hurt your feelings if I'm ignoring you.
Okay. Now, is that Patricia talking? Because I have a hard time understanding. Yeah. Sorry. Thank you.
You were so clear when you first plugged in your headset, and now you got muffled again. I don't know why.
That's all good. We'll work with you, Patricia.
Okay, and that's, I keep my eye on the chat box, so you can always put anything you want to in chat as well.
Okay,
yes, and that's one of the reasons why there's two of us, because it's a computer, because we've got different ways of interacting, so phone, chat, you know, through the different symbols and whatever. Between Joanna and I, we will for sure be able to continue and make sure that you guys have what you need and to answer or say what you need for sure. All right, so we've gone through all the faces, we've gone through the coffee cups. So I'd like you to choose an emoticon right now just to see how you're doing in terms of how you're feeling about the chat so far. So go down, drop menu, choose one. Seeing smiley face from Patricia and Charlene, perfect, super, you guys are pro at this. Moving on. Is there anything that you want to add, Joanna?
Nope, I think they got it.
Perfect. So let's hear a little bit more from you guys. So a few more tools, again, for you so that you can write in this nice little graph here and tell us a little bit more about it. So at the top, you see the nice big blue arrow. If you click on it, it activates it. If you click it down to a case, then it'll show your name and this nice big arrow. You'll have a different color. Perfect. Patricia's got it. And then I'll ask Charlene to also activate hers. And yes, you can move around, and whatever your pointer goes is where your arrow is going to go. So I'm going to choose a column here. So
Charlene. So this toolbar here that we've popped out like a picture of it, you can see that up in the upper left-hand corner of your screen.
Yes, I'm having trouble getting it. So I'm having trouble getting it to put my name on.
So click on, is the pointer highlighted gray?
Yes.
Okay, now take your mouse and just click anywhere on the screen.
It doesn't seem to want to give it to me. I don't know.
So Francis, if you want to just quickly pass Charlene the ball, we'll just take a quick look at her screen and see if we can figure it out. Because you are going to do this in the middle of the presentation.
Sounds good.
So Charlene, just follow my directions. Up in the upper left-hand corner of your screen, you should see a toolbar that says File, Edit, Share, View Audio. Do you see that?
Now I've got it.
Oh, there you are. Right, there we go. Never mind. Francis, back to you.
Perfect. Super. So Charlene, when you have a chance, now you've got your row that you've activated. I'm going to ask you to click on the T. So to activate the T, and that's also right below that little arrow that you had, and that will activate your writing cursor. So if you click on one of the boxes in your row, you'll be able to type in and finish for the questions that you have there. So I'll give you a few minutes to finish that.
We talked about this the last time, and the truth is, I'm not sure how many deployments, simply because he's also done all of these training sessions all over everywhere. So it's a bunch.
For now, for this exercise, just look in terms of the overseas. So the long periods of time that he's been away, then just look at
overseas. All right. 3, 4. This will be 5.
Perfect. And Patricia, you've changed your to 2 deployments. Just below, because we've got room, can you type in which deployments you've been through, please?
Of course.
Perfect. So Chatham, 5.
Well, this Ukraine will make it 5.
Surface sale with U.S., Japan, Philippines. Cool. Awesome. All right, so I think we're ready to go. So one at a time, I'd like you to introduce yourselves and and just tell us a bit more about yourself. So name, location where you're in, deployment. So I also confirm if you're a spouse or if you're a mother of a soldier, and if the past deployments you've been through overseas, and if you can, how did it go? How well did it go? And so who would like to go first?
I can.
Can you hear me? Oh,
Can you hear me? Do you want me to type it or say it?
Go ahead, Charlie. You're next in line. We'll pick you.
Okay. We've been through the Afghanistan deployments, especially really hard for us because of delay in information getting back and forth to us because of the nature of the deployments themselves. So this one we are hoping is a little less stressful. The other thing that we have difficulty with, regardless of where our son is the fact that we are so far away from his family.
Okay. So your son, so you're a mom of a son who is married and who has 2 children, and your son and spouse live in
Petawawa.
Petawawa. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. So you're about 5, 6 hours away?
No, about 9 hours.
Yeah, I see I didn't have it right. I know where you are, but I'm not very good in terms of knowing how far that is in terms of traveling, unless I've...
Yeah, there's just no easy way to get there.
No, agreed. All right. And so thank you very much for sharing, Charlene. Patricia, do you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself, please?
well, I'm a military spouse living in Petawawa, as you can see with the screen. I'm not as much as a veteran as all of you guys with deployments and stuff. He's had Afghanistan, which really sucks because that one you're actually really, really worried for. But he's also been to Poland, and he's away all the time.
Okay.
Like right now, he's engaged for tasking, and then he's going to go somewhere else. And
So currently he is engaged on for tasking.
yeah.
And is he deploying after that?
He should be.
Should be. And so the should be is where?
I'm not sure. I'm not supposed to know yet.
Okay. All right. So I just wanted to confirm. Okay. Sounds good. And your best HLTA is Ireland. Tell me about that.
That was awesome. It's a gorgeous place.
So when was this?
That was 4 years ago.
2 years ago, you said?
4.
Okay, thank you. And so you met him there, and you were able to spend a few weeks there?
Oh, yeah.
Very good. Super. Joanna, do you want to go next and tell us a little bit more about yourself, please?
Sure. So I'm in Victoria. I've only been through one longer term deployment, and that was while we were stationed in Whidbey Island, Washington for 4 years. My husband went on what they call CERTAS sail with the U.S. So he sailed with a U.S. group in Japan and the Philippines area. And I have one son who is 17 years old.
Super. And your best HLTA was Whidbey Island, Washington?
Yeah. It was my only one, so we've only been married 6 years, and 4 of those were spent at Whidbey Island, Washington. So really now we're back in Victoria, but Victoria is only a couple hours away, so it's just beautiful out here on the west side, so I love it.
Super, super, thank you. And as for myself, I already mentioned that I'm here in Petawawa. The deployments, so I've seen through many friends, through many families, through many of the families that I've helped here through the agency, through different soldiers that I've helped prepare and seen leave and then come back. So we've seen lots of, yes, some challenging ones like Afghanistan, but also some great ones that lots of successes have gone through. HLTA, unfortunately, I have not because I am not a deployed spouse, and I do have 2 children, so sometimes I do bring that information in just for anybody that needs it for resources and et cetera. So if you know of any other spouses that are going through a deployment at the moment and that they do have children, we do have some things in specific. So in this session, we won't talk about it because it's not pertinent to what we need, but just an FYI, if you're seeing other families, something that they can refer and go through. Perfect. Well, thank you very, very much for sharing. And we do have great experiences here today. And like I said, please don't be shy and ask any questions, pass on some comments, thoughts, and that we can go through this conversation here today. Perfect. So now you know all the tools, so you can track whenever you want, so whatever you want to scribe on, whatever you want to put on your arrow on something, or raise your hand, or anything that way, so you're able to interact a little bit more today. Any questions before we move on? Any comments? Nope. Nope. Not seeing anything.
No, everything's good.
Perfect. Super. So we're going to watch a nice little video. So deployment can be so many things for so many different families and so many different loved ones. Now, I go back between loved ones and families because it's completely different. It could be your neighbor that's supporting a soldier. It could be a distant cousin. It could be a child that's supporting dad or mom going away, and it also could be a spouse and a mom. So deployments, I find, are very, very different experiences when you talk with different people that are military families that are going through. There's a few videos and resources that we have that I'm hoping that you have seen, but if not, it's the way of introducing them here. We're just going to show a small portion of it, just again for time-wise, but you'll see where we get it, and you'll see where we're able to go back and to view it a little bit later. So Joanna's going to get that ready. Now, I'm going to ask you to confirm that you can see the web page, because it is a web page that we're going through, see the video. So when you see it, and if you're able to give me a green check that it's good, you see the MFRC Esquire Mode web page, and you see a video that says the D word. Perfect. I see Patricia. Charlene, do you see the web page?
She typed yes. She typed yes in the chat.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't see that. Thank you. So I'm going to ask that you mute your sound. So mute your microphones for this. That way we don't get the feedback everybody's hearing the video at the same time. I'm also going to ask you that when we say go, to activate the videos on by yourself. And so I'm going to watch only the first 2 minutes and 10 seconds of the video. Just for, again, the small introduction. When you're past the 2.1 minutes, to stop it, and then to give me a green check that you're done. So again, we're going to be looking at this individually, so everybody's muted, which I will mute myself in a few minutes as soon as I'm done this. So when we say go, you're going to scroll down, and you see how the video, there's a big arrow to start it, to play it. You'll click on that. See the timing at the bottom? So when it gets to 2.1 minutes, just stop it and then give me a green check that you're done and you're good. And then that way, after that, we'll come back and talk a bit more about it. Any questions? No from, yes, no from Patricia. And Charlene, I'm guessing it's a no, we're good. All right, so I'm muting myself and let's go. So press on it and then give me the green check when you're done. Thanks, ladies.
Just a reminder, when you're finished watching, either give us a green check or type done. Perfect. All right, everybody, thank you. And just give me a second, Francis, and I'll pass the ball back to you. And then don't forget to unmute yourself, Francis.
Perfect. Hello, everybody's back. So who has heard of the deployment cycle before? So what is the deployment emotional cycle? So Patricia, no. Charlene, have you ever heard about the emotional cycle of deployment?
No.
No?
No, I
Okay.
have not. I think we've probably experienced it, but I don't really know what it means.
Definitely experienced it. It's just from going through different deployments. Yes, I can say for sure.
Yeah.
Perfect. Just learned about it a couple of months ago. I explained it so much. Perfect. Super. So that was from Joanna. And the computer screen's a little bit further away, so I'm going to reach in to see it. So the emotional cycle of deployment basically explains the period prior to deployment, during deployment, and after deployment, all the emotional phases that you will go through as a person going through this, but also as your soldiers going through this, because everybody's involved through it. The way I explain it is like a raindrop. So when a raindrop falls in the water, it makes a ripple, the ripple effect. So whoever is affected by it has the ripple effect. So if the soldier leaves, that means he's the drop that's dropping in the water. The ripple effect depends on how close and how far you are for everybody. So children feel it, spouses feel it, pets feel it, neighbors, of course, mothers, fathers, and etc. So yes, there is there is lots of ways that everybody around you feels that absence of that soldier. Now this video explains it a little bit more, but also explains the normal feelings that go through it. So have you guys noticed or have you heard of families fighting a little bit more prior to them deploying?
I'm sorry, finding what?
Pardon?
I'm sorry, repeat your last sentence.
So have you noticed that when your soldier's preparing to leave for deployment, that there's a little bit more bickering, arguments, miscommunications prior to the deployment?
I think probably when he was younger, I think that when he was younger, yes. But he's older now, and I think that he values the time with his family, and it's I find that he's trying to draw in and spend more time with them. He's not getting the things done that he needs to do because he's spending time with his family.
Okay. Sounds good. And Patricia, you had a nice comment there in the chat. Do you want to explain that a little bit more? You're going to unmute yourself, Patricia?
I will try. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect. So he doesn't get bitchy, but he gets tense and let's say, I don't know, he'll snap more often, and then he winds up in his little bubble. So I have to go do the paperwork. I have to make sure that the groceries are done. Do this, and you have to relax.
And so if I heard correctly, through some of the different tasks, you mentioned paperwork and different things, he gets a little bit more edgy from what I'm hearing of getting things completed and also double checking that you've done some of your parts as well.
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. And so do you find yourself also changing a little bit? Or have you noticed that some of you, I don't know, maybe resentment, maybe feeling guilty prior to him leaving in terms of some of the different feelings that you've had?
I actually get more clingy.
Okay.
So, and that makes me feel bad because being clingy is never a good thing. So it's kind of, I feel guilty because I should be focusing on him, and it's like a vicious cycle.
Yep. Well, in terms of interactions, there's no good or bad. It's however we're feeling, it's however we're feeling. What we're trying to show is how for you to notice it and for you to look at how that's going to impact your interaction with that soldier or with others around you. So if you can notice that, yeah, I'm getting a little bit more, just for some families, it's getting a little bit more distant because you're about to leave, then it's explaining that to the soldier that it's, yes, I'm going to miss you and I love you, but I'm just a little bit more distant. In your case, you may be explaining why you're a little bit more clingy, like you want to spend as much time possible with him prior to them leaving. Then it's, again, the communication, but I can explain some of that interaction. And there's also some of those emotional responses to soldiers as well. Now, I'm talking all about this, and I don't want to extend too much on this, but the reason I'm mentioning is because we have, or the Canadian Forces have, a great resource out there that it goes in depth a little bit more for the soldier and for the family going through this. And it's what we call the Road to Mental Readiness. So if you notice in the video here, they were looking at the cars and talking about the cars coming in and coming out and just learning how to drive it and how sometimes it's overwhelming, but eventually you get the groove of it and you know it quite well and you're quite comfortable. Well, the program Road to Mental Readiness is there, and it's focused on understanding stress reactions, identifying challenges and their impact, learning skills and strategies to manage stress, and recognizing external supports that are out there. And basically, they're looking at seeing yourself, so your body, your person, as a car. So you're going to be driving on your deployment because the family is also deployed, not just the soldier leaving. And it means that the family, when they're deployed, they're also going to go through challenges, through obstacles, to different successes throughout their deployment experiences, and also will have to change. But also because at the end of the deployment, you'll need to merge. So just like as a car, when you're merging into one lane to the next one, you need to be aware of what's coming. You need to slow down and you match your speed so that the other car can come in and you can merge directly. Well, that's going to be your soldier. So your soldier's heading out to another highway, but eventually he'll have to merge back in. And so it's a great program that explains this a whole lot more, gives you lots of skills, and it's something that the soldiers are mandated and are getting when they are being deployed. So that's something that's available to you. Now, has anybody heard about Road to Mental Readiness before?
Yeah, that one I have.
Pardon? Yes. So Patricia, yes. Charlene, yes. So Charlene's been in the last session of the focus group, so I did mention it through that, and Patricia as well. So this program is offered here in Petawawa. It's also offered in your area as well, Charlene. So if it's something that you're willing to take, so it's a workshop that we sit down with you and we go through different the stages, and through that we can do it like as an hour session, we can do it as a 3-hour session. So trying to get a group together. If you're interested in getting through this and in building those resiliency skills for future deployments, or even for this one, then send me an email. Let me know, and then that's something we can try to organize so as a great resource. Joanna, I know you know the program also quite well. Is there any other things that you would like to add to this before we move on?
Oh, just like I said, for me, being I was sort of new to the Canadian Forces family, and then being posted out immediately. It was so great when I got back here to Canada and somebody told me that this whole cycle thing where, your spouse might pick a fight with you before getting ready to leave because it creates distance and it helps with the separation. It explained it so well for me. I so appreciated hearing that it wasn't just us, it wasn't just our marriage that had that issue, that this was a common thing in the deployment cycle, that sort of that fighting prior to leaving. And so that was so helpful to me to let me know, hey, we're not alone in this. And so I just really appreciated the knowledge that gave me, and it really made me feel then more resilient. And like, if my marriage isn't going to end, this is just normal emotion, so I really appreciated that.
Super. Any comments or any thoughts from Charlene or Patricia? No for Patricia. Charlene, any thoughts?
Well, of course, from a mother's perspective, it's a little hard for me to comment on things like that. But I know that my daughter-in-law has had to deal with what she felt were anger issues, and they really weren't directed at her. She just was the sounding board, and it becomes a very difficult thing for everybody to have to deal with.
True. And so by sounding board, you're talking about the soldier talking to her?
In a way that, under other circumstances, would be unacceptable.
And you're still talking about the communication between the soldier and your daughter-in-law, just to be clear.
And his wife.
Yeah.
Yes, perfect. Absolutely.
Well, and it's true. And what I've heard from soldiers, because I have the neat job where I'm talking to both. I'm seeing the soldiers and I'm seeing the families in the situations of deployment. And I've seen many soldiers say that, hey, I'm frustrated because trying to get my spouse to understand that I'm working 18-hour days, 16-hour days, and I'm not exaggerating on this, and the stress and the demands that are on me and responsibilities are hard. And I find it hard when I'm calling home because I'm in a completely different space and headset and head mind, that I'm, as much as I want to be there and I want to be able to listen, I can't go there yet because I'm still in that protective zone and trying to just to survive in where I am at the moment. And there's times that, yes, it's the spouse or the soldier that's very frustrated, and then when they're chatting to their loved ones, they're just rambling off and going on and on. But I've also seen the same thing for families. So when a soldier is coming and calling or having a nice Skype and having a great interaction and just mind good stuff, he's calling at supper time where there's 3 kids on the table, everybody's hungry, it's been a rough day, and the spouse is just bitchy, for the lack of a better word, and just trying to get things done. So a little bit, again, not in the best mind frets for getting that conversation. So there is frustrations on both sides because, again, it's a nonverbal communication that you can't always see. There's lots of variables that you don't control, and you're not always in the same space in terms of mind aware conversation. So yeah, you're right, and it is true that happens for sure. Any other thoughts or comments on this? All right, perfect. I'm seeing lots of great chats in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and move on, just looking at changing a little bit more and just moving on to the conversation. So looking at deployments. When you hear that your soldier is leaving, so as a mom and also as a spouse, what do you do and what do you prepare? How do you prepare for that? So as soon as, let's say, you've learned that kids are leaving for Ukraine for this deployment, what are you doing physically, mentally, emotionally to get ready for this deployment? So again, if you want to click your clickers, like I've seen you do great, and you guys are pros at it, choose your column, choose your text, and start writing away. I'll give you a nice few minutes, and go ahead and give us some ideas of how you prepare, please. I'm reading. I love getting your feedback. It's just like in a real classroom where I can almost see or sense what you guys are thinking.
Harper's office.
You guys? I think everybody's done.
Yeah, just Charlene, just for us to be able to see what you've written, you just have to click your cursor anywhere else on the screen.
I think Charlene clicked in the top bar.
Oh,
I believe,
there she is.
I believe that's where she is.
Sorry, my bad.
So we started with Charlene last time. Patricia, are you ready to start and just explain a little bit more?
Yes, I am.
All right, go ahead.
So basically, I'm not a very responsible adult. So when we try to talk finances or get our stuff checked out, I just push on to the last minute and wind up doing it myself anyways. So one coping thing I found, which is actually not really coping, I tend to research where they're going and see as much as I can learn to see if it really is that bad. And I ask him what's going on, what he wants me to do if there's an accident, who I should contact, and I just
Okay, so if I understand correctly, so you find out where that's Charlene. So basically, you research where they're going, so you can learn the most about the situation. You mentioned that talking about finances and some of the paperwork is a difficult conversation to have with your husband. That you just end up doing it all by yourself, anyways. And that you ask lots of questions about where he's going, what he's going to be doing, and that you get very emotional as well. Is that correct, Patricia? Is that a good summary of what you've mentioned?
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you. Charlene, your turn.
What can I say? You know, as the mother, I'm removed basically from the situation because, of course, my daughter-in-law is the one more directly impacted, and my grandchildren. However, yeah, I shed a few tears every time. In fact, I always warn my friends that I become a crazy lady, and they have to deal with that. They're just going to have to listen to me. But one of the things that we do almost right away is we start dehydrating fruit and beef jerky and things like that, things that he likes, and we start putting them in care packages. 2 deployments ago, we discovered that we could drop them off at the armories in our area, which really helps us. you know, it was a piece of information that we had never known about. And again, because we're so far removed, we don't have access to anything on the base. We were spending a lot of money sending this stuff overseas ourselves. Now we don't have to, of course. We could drop it off.
And that's very true. So any loved one that's in the in the Canada area, if they're close to a Military Family Resource Center or a CF base wing armories, they can drop it off for free. The armories are the ones that we ask that you check in first, so before you drop off the parcel. So if you know of any families or loved ones that are not close to you that may be closer to armories, either have them reach out to the local MFRC or have them reach out to the local armories closest to them, just to make the arrangements. And usually when you reach out to say, hey, I'm supporting a soldier of so-so, like Corporal Smith, who's in this area, I'm the family, I'd like to be able to send packages while he's in Afghanistan, for example, they're very, very, very willing and very good, but sometimes you just need a little bit of introduction first before you actually can drop it off. And of course, all the Military Family Resource Centers, there's lots of us, there's even some in the US and overseas, so in Europe and places, so that's always something that we can do for sure. And packages are a great way to send a little something from home that we love you, we miss you, and here I'm thinking of you. So, and you can generally send, without being too much, but almost unlimited packages. So if you want to send a package per week, you can send a package per week. The only caution with that is not to send to all the soldiers that are there. So for example, you know that your soldier is working with 30 other men and women and that you want to send something for all of them and you're sending a great big box, then that's something that's not necessarily recommended because it takes away from the family's mail from one family to the next family in terms of overseas. There is supporter troops initiatives there, and there is care packages over Christmas time. So for your soldiers that are going to be over in Ukraine, there is supporter troops initiatives where they interact with different businesses across Canada who donate monies, who donate prizes, who get together and do nice packages and giveaways that they present to the soldiers that are deployed during the Christmas time, but that is something that you can go through. So if you are interested in that, just Google supporter troops, and then you'll see a list of ways that you can get involved or that you can refer a company to. And I know here, for example, and it's also across Canada, lots of the children here in the daycares and the schools will prepare them some cards, and they include them in those packages for those supporter troops nice mail. What about the power of attorneys and some documents? Do you guys go through that and review what you have?
We don't have to, of course, again, because we're parents, but but my son and his wife do that.
Okay. And so, Patricia, you said no? So you don't review any of those?
We have our will, but we haven't switched over to power of attorney or anything. He's a little paranoid, I guess.
Okay. Just from seeing past situations over the years, it's always something good to review, just in terms of sometimes your family changes and you haven't noticed. So not necessarily noticed, but you haven't paid attention to the official documents that the Canadian Forces will have on hand. And so powers of attorneys, will, estates, finances, pay, just anything that you can monitor to see that it's a proper ranking, proper information. They have the proper address on file. They have your proper information there as well. Because we've seen places where it's added some children. They were not included in, for example, the life insurance and powers of attorneys as well. So when you're traveling overseas, so just lots of different things. So if you have a chance of reviewing some of that, always great to have. Same with the car, bell, hydro, just looking at, having that all figured out. Any questions, thoughts on this subject? Okay, I see Patricia saying, yeah, perfect. So I'm just reading out. So in terms of care packages, there was comments about you can send fruit. So as long as it's dried, and as long as it's something that will not spoil or rot within the time frame that it gets there, yes, you can send it. It is. Then dried is the best way versus fresh. Now I've seen families send some cookies, like especially at Christmas time, some of the special bakings, and some get well sent over there, and others are more like crumbs in a package. But they're still loved. They still enjoy it, and no matter how much they stuffed, it still went well. But the packages can take about 4 to 8 weeks for it to get there, so you'll have to think of that, and also. I'm not saying that boxes are thrown on the cargo plane or whatever, but, you know, it's not necessarily as gently placed, I should say, because I know they don't throw them, but they're still, it's not nothing fragile that you put in there. It does go from hand to hand and different temperatures as well, from up and down, so that's something that yes, you do. Now, I see some great conversations about power of attorney, vacuum seal your stuff, just trying to... Catching up, you guys are fantastic. You're pros at this.
I think Costco has those vacuum sealing things that
yes.
you can buy.
Yeah. And I also know that Walmart has a version of that, because I remember hearing that from some of the families too, that you can get it from one of the Walmart ones. So again, just the freshness and things that you can keep them through.
So I love my job, Francis, because I learn new things every day.
Well, it's true. It's and that's why I like interacting with so many different families, because you guys have so many knowledgeable and experience from having so many deployments and separations and different places that you get to travel. So I'm going to move on to the next slide. We're good for this one. And talk a little bit more some of the resources that are out there for when you're preparing for your deployment. So the top one is the Petawawa Military Family Resource Center Crisis Worker. So let's say there's something that's stressing you out, or there's something that's in the fire that's burning and you're not quite sure of how to handle it or where to go. That's one route. So every Military Family Resource Center has different crisis workers. So again, if you're not local here in the area, there is something close to you. And I know Chatham, we do have a satellite from the London office, and they do be sporadically near you. So that is something that's available and available to all loved ones. It doesn't matter if you're not a spouse. Definitely available to all. So again, good reference point, good for information, but different resources that may be impacted by your family. The next one over is myself, so the deployment coordinator, or the family separation and reunion coordinator, we call it. So by meaning deployments, we also say it's a family reunion because it's also the tasking, courses, exercises that go through. So every military family resource centers across Canada has this position. On the smaller centers, there may be a person that wears 3 or 4 different hats in terms of responsibilities, but there is somebody that does take care of deployments. And they are also very knowledgeable in different resources that are available to you. So if you're not able to go face-to-face, making a phone call, chatting with them online, they're often able to refer back to you and able to give you some information about other families and services. We're going to watch a quick video about the Canadian Forces Members Assistance Program. So thanks to Joanna, we have a great recording that will save us from me talking, but also introduce you a little bit more different services that you can access. So we're going to go over to that slide now.
Just ask everybody to mute themselves, and then we can unmute when we're done. Thank you. And back to you, Francis.
Thanks, Joanna. Thank you, Joanna, for muting me. I've got a great coworker. And so it was better than myself explaining it, just to be able to see all the different things that you can access. And the Canadian Forces and Members Assistance Program has been wonderful in helping so many families in different situations. So just, again, confirming that it is free and available. Now, at the end of the session today, I will be sending you an email with all the list of all the information that we talked about today, so you'll have that on hand. So as soon as we are done this session today, then you will get that email, and it will include these numbers. Perfect. Now, the next one, I'm going to mention it because you may have, so for your daughter-in-law, this sounds like a good resource for her, but also you may have a friend that has children that may also want to do this, or may need this, I should say, more than do this. So we have an emergency child care plan. So every soldier that deploys, throughout their checklist to make sure that they're green, ready to go in terms of the deployment-wise, which is the Canadian Forces process, they have to review what they call their family care plan. So that's something on their personal file that says that, yes, I'm responsible for the care of my children, and that, yes, everything is set up and done. And so if they don't have children, it's an easy go form that they fill out. If they do have children, they need to name that's who's the spouse, who's the children, and be able to identify two persons that are not their spouse or not their partners that can care of the children in case of emergency. So here's the situation. Let's say a spouse is going to the grocery store with the kids, gets into a car accident. Let's say the mom is injured, unable to speak, and the two kids are well and fine. So if we're able to identify that family, that mom as a military spouse, they will contact the base closest to them. From there, they're able to identify the soldier, go in the personal file, and see who can take care of those kids. So they'll see that grandma lives 3 hours away, be able to contact the grandma and be able to tell there's been an emergency and care for the kids. So we're looking at how can we lessen the trauma for those children that are in that situation, because we know that the Canadian Forces are always in and out of the homes. That's part of the nature of their jobs. They've thought about that and looking at how they can be. So again, I'm saying it because you may have a neighbor, friend that have children, and so that's something that I'm constantly confirming and checking that families know this and that they're well informed, because we often meet families that don't know about this and don't know about the service when they're struggling. So it can be from illnesses that the children has had and now mom has, and not able to, that needs a little bit more support while taking care of the kids. We can come in the home and we can help. And it's also long-term, so if there's anything emergency that happens, we can support. So again, through all the Military Family Resource Center, we offer this service. And so there's a person that's dedicated in doing this and can do it through for helping out the families. Any questions on this so far? Okay, I'm saying no. No, great. Thank you for bearing with me, even if you technically don't have children at home. Again, trying to inform as best possible so you can share with others. The other resource is the Padre. So the unit that the soldier belongs to has a Padre that's attached to them, and it's a resource that you can use at all time. So even as you as a mom of a soldier, you as a spouse of a soldier can contact and can call and can talk with them. So the Padres are non-denominational. They're there for a great resource for an ear just to listen, to pass on an information overseas, to help you navigate the Canadian Forces system where you're not quite sure about something, to help you manage a different situation as well. So don't be shy to contact them. They're very much there for the families and for the soldiers and looking to support you. So I'm hoping that you see through these small 6 ones, because there's a lot more services for deployment than this, that there's lots of services out there for you. And I'm also going to look at the last one. So another quick video. It's, I think, maybe 40 seconds. It's quite quick. The family information line. So again, something else that's 24/7 that you have access to the call and that you're able to see. So I was going to say mute everybody, just myself included in a few minutes. We'll press play in the video, watch it. Once you're done, if you want to give me the green check, then we'll go from there. And moving on for the video.
Give me a smiley face when you're done. And back to you, Francis.
Perfect. So we've shown you lots of different resources that we have here. I'm going to pass the ball, not pass the ball, I'll ask Joanna if there's anything that she'd like to add or any other resources or any others that she would like to mention at this time.
Well, you know, just because this is what I do for a living, I just want to reinforce that watch for, as you're going forward with your experiences with the Canadian Forces, that more and more virtual programs like this, information sessions, meetings, etc., where you can access a lot of this information through virtual. And so just keep your eyes open for it, because we'll see more and more coming over the next year. And I don't know if you got to see that or not, Francis, but Charlene has to pop out. So, okay, perfect.
That's perfect. That's good. Thank you. And then something else that we mentioned that Charlene already knows, but I'll mention again for you and Patricia, because you may have a mother-in-law or your own parents that also want to support you through this and also know about the deployment experiences. There's a Facebook group for parents of soldiers, and we do include parents-in-laws of soldiers, because as a spouse, you experience the deployment a little bit differently than you do for a mother of a soldier, and Charlene was quite clear in that and mentioning that as well. So there is a great Facebook group, so if you do a Google search again for parents of soldiers, you'll find it on Facebook, and it's something that you can join as a closed group and have lots of discussions, resources, and things that we'll go through. It is going to be in the link that I'll include in the email as well. Is there any questions or any thoughts before we move on? Perfect. Thank you. One-on-one session, Patricia. You're good time-wise? We're almost done. We're just about a few slides left and a few discussions, but are you good to continue, Patricia? Perfect. Super. Thank you. So I'd like to learn a little bit more in terms of what are your stressors throughout your deployment. So you've gone through the pre-deployment, now you're during the time the separations are gone. So using your cursor and your writing tool, if you don't mind writing, what are some of the stressors that you get or you feel when you're deployed? If you think of any situations and any solutions to it, and if you want to just write in the solutions as well, and then we'll just discuss it as soon as you're done. And I'll join in as well and write a few times too.
I find something in my house always breaks. This is not the most handiest of man, but still, it's nice when somebody else is there to help.
I know, then you can kind of panic together.
I always get sick. Perfect. So give me a check when, or an a smiley face or something when you're done and you're ready for us to chat. Perfect. And so I'll go first, just in terms of seeing some of the experiences, and that way I won't be putting you directly on the spot, Patricia, and hopefully mention some things that are also going out there. So some things that I've heard from many families that I've seen going through deployment is often those miscommunications. So getting a phone call, sending an email, and then getting the response that, okay, you're mad at me, how come you're mad at me? And then get a conversation with, well, no, I'm not mad at you, I'm just stressed for time, and so I'm sending this and this and this and this. And just trying to share as much as I can, but in a short amount of time. And so I'm hearing families that we spend more time back and forth in saying that, no, I'm not mad, or yes, I'm pissed, or yes, I'm not happy about something, versus really getting what we need or the different feelings. So I've heard lots of families share how that's difficult. And so it's keeping in mind the written information is quite different than what you can see face-to-face, that you don't see the body language. So try to capture some of those intonations in it. Looking at clear communication, so really voicing out the different feelings that you are going through and emotions more in writing than maybe you can do it verbally. And maybe sometimes explaining to the other person that's contacting you and what's going on. So I'm in the middle of making supper, I'm hungry, I've had a hard day, I need to feed myself, and yes, I'm getting a little bit grumpy. It's not you, it's just you come and confirm that you're coming. And so give me 2 minutes while you chat and give me about your day so I can take a few bites, and then I'll be able to calm down, and we'll be able to talk a little bit more. So that's something that's always something that we see. All right, and then also looking at some deals, I find some families having difficulties in finding overwhelming and taking care of all the bills. So soldier has their own little things that they take care of, and so while they're deployed, the spouse or the partner takes care of it. And I've seen some families say that that's challenging. And then, of course, there's also those seasonal things, so closing up the pool, opening up the pool, shoveling, grass cutting. So those are all the challenges that I've seen.
It's all the hard labor you don't like.
Yeah, garbage, yes, yeah, the garbage as well.
That's a good one, Patricia.
Recycling. And here in Petawawa, recycle goes every few times, and then garbage goes on the other time. So just, yeah, finding that schedule and making sure you're on time. So I've seen some families that, yes, a little bit stressed because it's accumulating and they missed garbage day again, and just trying to tell them, okay, it's not going to be the end of the world. So yes, you'll find out when the next time is, mark it somewhere where you can see it so you'll remember it. But it's, yes, it's going through that. And some of the solutions that we've talked about with families is maybe having a contractor. So contract out the plan for the snow, plan for the grass cutting that you can do it right now. Same as, if you need to open a pool or closing a pool, yeah, you're spending money on it, but if it means that you've got a better, relaxed and peaceful mind, then you're able to go ahead and do it, and it's worth the money for doing that. And same for house cleaning. For some, it's the house cleaning too. It's always good to have some of that. Perfect. So I'll stop here. Who wants to go next?
I'll go if you guys can still hear me.
Pardon?
I'll go.
Okay, go ahead, Patricia.
So my big thing is that my husband is either really, really bad at communicating, or he just doesn't have the chance. But everybody also has text messages, emails, phone calls, and I will get one maybe once a month. And yeah, a lot of the time it is because he's in really dangerous situations with no phone, no nothing that he's not allowed to talk to me about.
True.
But then my buddies, his buddy's wife with my friend, will get 5 text messages a day. And I'm like, oh, and it really stresses me out.
And so when he's here on the field exercise here, or when he's here at work, do you regularly chat or text or have communication throughout the day?
If he's in the field, no. But if he's at work, sometimes.
Sometimes. All right. So what I'm hearing is possibly a personality thing. So again, every person is different. So maybe he's one that, yes, communicates less often than another would as well. So if you look at the normal times or the regular times that you're in close contact and you're not necessarily deployed, how much communication you have versus when you're separated, how much communication you have. So is it completely different, or is it fairly equal or balanced? And that's something that to keep in mind for just to compare, because it's hard to compare to another family, another spouse. And as much as it's hard not to be jealous, because I've seen that and I've gone through it a few times as well. So, but you're again a different person, and that person is, and same with the soldier. So you're comparing apples to bananas at the moment, even if they do have contact. All right, what else do you have?
Well, I tend to have my own life. I'm pretty independent. I have a job. I have my own friends. And I think about him being all sad, let's say in Poland, or not eating well, and I feel guilty, which is silly. And
so guilty because you're able to go out and do what you want in terms of whatever schedule that you have? Okay. No, it's a completely normal feeling because, again, soldiers are in different situations than where we're at, sometimes dangerous, sometimes stressful, sometimes with lots of responsibilities. And as much as you feel for them and you want for them, yes, you're still here living your day like there's nothing different and nothing that's challenging. You do have them on your mind constantly, yes. But, yeah, I can see how, when you're sipping on a patio and just having some great times with some friends and eating some great gourmet meals while they're having some very dried up food and very hot and humid area. Well, yeah, it's a little bit comparable. But again, it's part of it. It's part of the emotional cycle of deployment, and it's completely normal.
Yeah, and it's also, well, I get sick, but that's not his fault or my fault or whatever. But well, I get really scared at night for some reason because I keep assuming if somebody's going to break in.
Ah. So do you have anything in place to help protect, or even to get that peace of mind?
Just a lock.
Just a lock? Okay. So maybe something to look at. So if there's something that's causing you stress and makes that you're not confident in the days that you're going to be through it alone, then maybe there's something to do. So would it be a buddy system where somebody always knows where you are, knows your routine, knows that if you didn't come home that, there's something wrong. It could be also if you're going out for a walk, letting somebody else know where you're going for a walk. So again, just for that protective things. Having maybe some close neighbors that you trust and that are well, that can help keep an eye out on the house. That could be another option. So just again to give you the peace of mind. And security system sometimes is a good investment, especially since there's some that, if you have a smartphone, you can use from your smartphone, camera, video, whatever it is. And so there's lots of different options out there. And for the peace of mind, if you're stressing about it, you'll have just to weigh the balance of what's best.
Great. That's actually a good idea. Like especially the buddy system.
Well, definitely, and I've seen that more in terms of, single soldiers and some girlfriends and just newly living couples where they would never know when they're coming home and not coming home. So if the soldier is calling, I've had calls from the soldiers overseas saying, okay, I can't reach my girlfriend, and I know she's supposed to be at home and she's not there, but really she just decided to take a day trip, and so he was panicked and couldn't reach her. But again, buddy system, just to be able to know that, yes, he went for that walk, he's come back, and all is good.
Great.
Perfect. Anything that you want to add, Joanne? Like you want to talk about some of yours?
Oh, I just joke. Well, I'm not joking. Like spending money is a big issue. I'm like a money fanatic, and so like I hate it when he's like on shore. Because he's a sailor, right? So they'll be sailing, and then they get on shore, and we're usually we have like a budget that he's allowed to spend, but every time he goes over, and so it's like a big frustration to me. Of course, my solution was to cut up his bank cards, but that's obviously not practical. But really that just comes down to, just making sure we're communicating about money and everything. And I was thinking about, Patricia, what you were saying with like having the zero contact, and we actually have friends who they go the whole deployment and they don't talk. Like they have this preset arrangement because they found the first couple of times that they did have they were Navy, so sail, there was just so much like confusion about how often can they talk, when can they talk, why are the messages so short, you know, and they were constantly fighting over it. So what they started doing was every time he deployed, they just said, unless there's an emergency, or maybe if I do go to shore, I'll send you a quick note just to say hi. But for the most part, they just didn't even talk to each other. And so they just agreed upon it, like, we just won't talk unless there's an emergency. Now, I wouldn't recommend that for every couple, but it was, I think the point of it was they found the solution that worked for both of them, right? And they talked about it before they left, so it wasn't like, you know what I mean, they had that sort of determination of, listen, so that we don't argue, because we don't want to argue while we're gone, just know that I'm okay unless you hear otherwise, you know, and, you know, and so anyways, it was just the point of, like, they found something that worked for both of them. But anyway, so that's it for me. To be honest, I haven't gone through enough deployment now to say, like, what more stressors I would have, but money tends to be my biggest thing. So.
And you've raised some great points, Joanna. I've seen that from more seasoned spouses that have gone through many deployments, and that's what you come to on a different understanding. You get to the understanding that, okay, yeah, I know we're bickering back and forth. Yes, I still love you. We don't even put that in question because we know it's because you're leaving soon. So that just gets them through that normal dance that they go through before they leave. Yeah. Same as once they've gone, they know that, you know, they've pre-planned in terms of, yeah, the different information, that how they're going to be sharing that, how much communication that they want or don't want, and plan for different things. And money is often the biggest concerns and stressors that we see for families coming in. So spending too much, not having any, wrong things in pay, like we've seen lots of different varieties. And it is true when you're going overseas that you're getting a little bit more than what, well, some more than when you're just in Canada. So it does make a difference of how you're spending it, how you want to do it, and where it's going for sure. The same with taxes. So taxes, if you're going to be going through a period where the taxes are due, how do you go through that as a military family? So again, lots of different things that if you pre-plan ahead and do a little bit more research, then it just means you can navigate a little bit better.
Yeah, great point.
Any comments or questions that you want to go through, Patricia?
No, I just have a cat on me that I'll start.
Okay.
It's really good advice.
Perfect. So I'd like to we'll erase everything that we see here, that we've done here, and do you mind looking at in terms of post-deployment? So what are the things that you do when you learn that he's coming back? So I'll go ahead and erase the board. So maybe we can just do it verbally, so instead of writing. So and then we'll have Joanna maybe scribe as we talk. So Joanna, yes, Joanna, would you like to please scribe while we talk? Okay. And Patricia, do you want to talk about some of the things that you do prior to that for your soldier coming back?
Well, basically, I clean like a mad woman, and like down to my hands and knees, down to the bone. Thing, I buy flowers, I make it nice.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So when you hear that he's coming back, you clean and make sure everything is spotless and looking great.
And get him some snacks.
Okay, so lots of baking or snacks, or it's like the fridge is full and different things that your spouse loves.
Yeah.
Perfect. Do you do anything else?
I shave my legs.
I was going to say, yeah, that's usually one of the common ones to hear. Yeah, I've shaved. For sure. And very, very common. Something that we often hear, yes, for shaving. Shaving, dyed my hair, redo my hair, yes, go to a spa or have my nails done just before, just, yes, for looking good, yes. Yeah, true enough. So what about, do you pick up your soldier? Do you let your soldier get home?
When for the first deployment, I didn't know where to go, so somebody else had to pick him up and bring him to me.
Okay.
But then I started to get to know the base and everything, so I always make sure I'm there half an hour before. I jump in his arms. It's quite melodramatic in a way.
Are you one of those spouses that's wearing something special and just a big sign, welcome home, and welcome your spouse home?
Because I know he'll freak out. And I do wear heels.
You do what, sorry?
I put on high heels.
Oh, nice. So first impressions for sure when you meet your soldier, yeah, it's always great to have to plan and to do. From past experiences, I've heard lots of soldiers saying that for the most part, they don't want to be put on the standout that that's my spouse or that's my family or my mom that's there waiting for me when I got off the bus or the plane. So just, again, the embarrassing factor when you have all these soldiers coming down and just trying to get home. There is lots of pride of, yes, my family member is there. And for some, it's too private. So this is something that's too private. My buddies are my buddies and soldier, but for me, it's private in terms of the gathering and the welcome home for my family that I prefer to do it in the house or at our location that we're going to be meeting. Yeah. So it's something definitely to discuss. And I find it changes. So you can talk about it before you go. You can talk about it during the deployment, but I find just a few weeks before the soldier comes is where I've heard lots of plans change. So something to keep in mind while you're going through your deployment is just to have that open communication of, hey, you know, what would be your ideal of when you come home of what you get. So always the ideal. Can't say it's going to happen, but yes. Yeah. And what about the 3 weeks after they've landed and they're here? How do you find that post-deployment go?
It's okay. The first one, he had a bit of PTSD.
Okay.
So that was not so good, and he had to get some help. So that was Afghanistan, and all of other guys had to get some help too.
Yeah. And I'm guessing you got support for that as well, I'm guessing?
No.
No? So how did you find that out, and how did you navigate that?
I just stuck it up, basically, and then like 2 years after, I realized the stress was getting to me, so I had to do a shrink of my own.
Okay.
But, yeah, so.
Okay, no, go ahead. Keep going.
About the, like, field exercises, tasking, smaller deployments, 1 month deployments. It's personally back to normal. Like, it's back to normal.
Back to normal? Okay. Yeah. And through different experiences from what I'm hearing from families is also once they're home and once it's real that, okay, I'm home to stay and good, and then I'm just going to be getting ready to go back to work, sometimes that's some of the different stressors that come back. So it's no longer the honeymoon phase that we say about, you know, post-deployment. It's, okay, you go back and start doing your chores in terms of garbage or cleaning or tidying up, you know, after the dishes or picking up your socks, different things. And that routine sometimes is a bit harder, and it's something to renegotiate. So you've got the lucky cycle of having to renegotiate. So if you want to keep doing the bills, for example, and you did not do it before the deployment, something you want to keep doing, then something you can talk about and negotiate. So sometimes that adjustment is difficult, and some planning of what's changed since your soldier's gone is something that's also good to have. So for example, with kids, we do a program in the schools, and we'll have them do a scrapbook for the full 6 months, 4 months, or 8 months that the soldier's been gone, and try to show them the changes that have gone through in the house, with the spouse, and even with themselves as a kid while they've been gone. So that when we come down to post-deployment, we're going to be able to say, remember, you'll have to show this to your soldier how much you've grown and how much you've done. Well, same concept for the families. So that's something that's to look at doing in terms of there's all that communication that was not given to the families, so over the phone, so changing the furniture around. I'm trying to think of other major things, but, you know, just different things that anything that's changing your routine is something you'll have to recommunicate for that soldier. Now, remember when we talked about the road mental readiness, I talked of your bodies as being a car, so you're a car and your soldier's a car. So post-deployment is more merging in. So yes, you're coming back together, but that ride takes a long period of time, and it takes about 6 weeks for that full post-deployment to happen. And there's also a workshop just around post-deployment with road mental readiness that you can use and that you can do for just a little bit more tips on this. And it does talk about, you know, post-traumatic stress stressors and how we help soldiers de-escalate from being a high readiness all the time and come back to normal life. Yeah. Anything that you'd like to add there, Joanna?
No, I mean, that's just such great information. I was just saying, the thing I put down was, you know, I know it sounds weird because you think like your guy would just want to go home first, but we usually get like a hotel room for the first night and like go out and get a nice meal, and the reason is because just to do that reconnect outside of the home for that very thing you were talking about of just for like that back into the routine, like just sort of not getting back into the routine until after we've had a chance to reconnect, you know, and so taking that one night to just reconnect before we come back and have to deal with the dog and the grocery shopping and all of that, right? And so we found that that's really been helpful for us, even if it's just like, you know, he's gone for a few weeks for a, whatever, you know, like a class or something. So I don't know, that's just something we do.
That's a great point. And again, it's how you tailor it for your own family situation. So we do the same thing. We suggest the same thing for families when they go on their home location decompression, to choose a third location. Don't come right back home. So that way it's real in both your heads that this is just a vacation. We're just meeting halfway point and we're not done with the full separation. Same concept, yes, when you're coming back, is planning something special that both of you will enjoy and be nice. I've had those discussions with the mom-in-laws, with the mothers, and saying, okay, don't come in with just a full big party 2 days after he's returned, because there's the jet lag, there's the tiredness, there's the wanting to reconnect with his own home and things, and to decompress a little bit, and so plan that a little bit later on, and have the communication with the spouse or with the immediate family that, yeah, you can still do the surprise, but that you're timing it so that it's going to be well received, for sure.
Yeah.
Anything that you want to comment on or add, Patricia?
No, this is cool.
Okay, perfect. So it concludes in terms of the topics that I had prepared for us for talking for today. And so we've talked about pre, post, and during. We've given you lots of resources, and I'll send that email as soon as we're done to give you the different things, different access to different resources. So I'm going to ask you to click on the SurveyMonkey survey, if you don't mind just filling it out, taking a few minutes. Give us a smiley face when you're done, and then we'll finish your session.
Great. I wonder why it's called SurveyMonkey, though.
Pardon?
Why is it called SurveyMonkey?
Because it's a software that we pay through for our website that allows us to choose the different questions that we want, and it collects all the information together. So it's a link that I'm able to send, and I'm able to choose what questions that I want and tailor them, and then it gives me a nice way of compiling it, so I don't have to sit and go through all the different evaluations and do it manually. It's a great resource, and you can have it for free. You can use it for free, like for anything that you do, for 10 questions or less.
You know, it's so funny, Francis. I, in the past year, have learned more about all of this, you know, and just about the forces, about the military family services, from doing virtual programs that I ever learned about by actual experiences with my husband. So it's so funny. Like
Wow.
It's you know, I'm really so blessed to be able to do this job for a living. I just get to learn so much from all of you, and you guys are all such great resources.
And it makes you wonder as well, like for if you were not working through the virtual programming now, how would you have learned about those resources and then you go through the sense of...
I wouldn't have, like, my MFRC didn't even welcome me when I got here. Like, I wasn't, for some reason, I wasn't on the list of moving to the area. So, like, yeah, I would never have even been in contact with him. So, and you're right, Patricia, my husband doesn't share any information. He doesn't know. I end up filling out most of his forms for him. I mean, you know,
And it's true, and for me, I have lots of contacts with the units, and that's what I keep telling the soldiers, is pass it on to the families. If you don't, then we've got no ways of reaching the soldiers. We can mandate to come in for a briefing or for a session or something, but the families we can't necessarily mandate, and we don't know who they are. So I'm constantly, you know, harping on them. Okay, I need to know where you're going for deployment. Who do you want me to contact? And oh, no, I'm good and all good. And when I get the situations that I'm looking for different information from families, I'm able to take that as ammunition, go back to the unit and say, I don't say who family is, but I'm just saying, okay, so I've got 2 families that contacted me over, for example, Morale Mail. They're not quite sure how to send packages overseas. This is basic information that I should be able to pass on. So that's why I need this information of who's going, where they're going, and who are the loved ones. So I can't say that enough, and I'm saying it to every family so that they could push other families to say it as well, for sure.
Well, I think for the MFRC that I think that we should push more and go contact more spouses, because for like a year and a half when I moved here, and I had no idea what it was. I just stayed in the house being sad for like a year and a half.
And that makes me sad and makes me angry as well, because there's no need for that. There's so much out there, and there's so many services out there, and it's, yes, how do you reach families to go out there for sure? Ugh. Well, now you know, so you can be proactive of, yes, there's different services you can go out there, there's different things that you can do, and that definitely empower other families around.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I like this graph because it basically shows that, you know, deployments get you out of your comfort zone. They definitely make you grow and change and learn how to navigate different ways, not only through the CS system, but also through your regular day life as you change and you grow as a person. So and create different habits, renegotiate your loved ones, learn how to better communicate and prepare yourselves, organize. Like there's all those skills that you learn throughout deployment. So I think it's awesome, and to remember that, you know, it is a great thing to be deployed and be able to be in that.
Yeah.
And so from here, that concludes our session. So thank you for taking the time to join us, to participating lots, giving us lots of information. I will keep that and look at different programming that I'll do in the future to be able to reach out more to families, for sure. At this point, I'd like to be able to send you something in the mail or even prepare it here. So are you able to physically come to the north side to pick up a prize?
I live on Dunkirk. I could walk.
Pardon?
I live on Dunkirk.
So, okay, yeah.
Like 2 blocks away.
Okay, so you'll be able to come by?
Okay.
Perfect. So I won't be physically here because I am going on vacation starting tomorrow until the 8th. I'm going to get my son ready for school and all that lovely stuff, but I definitely will have a package here, and I will send that email with information for you. And after the 8th, for sure, I'm here. But again, there's I have so many great colleagues here. So if there is a question in the meantime, if you want to stop in for anything, please come and do so, and they'll be able to answer the questions for sure.
Of course.
Joanna, is there anything that you'd like to add?
No, pleasure getting to sort of meet you, Patricia, over the virtual classroom, and I hope we get to see you again sometime on here.
Of course, that would be fun.
So I look forward to reading some of the ideas that you have for different programmings, and we are definitely looking at building more for the virtual programming here in Petawawa for sure, and try to reach out things. So we've talked about maybe some coffee times that we can maybe do virtually because we're not able to all physically and do one in spaces. We've talked about different maybe deployment-specific courses that we can do on here as well, or maybe some different presentations. So we'll keep you informed as we go through this. And because he's going to be deployed to Ukraine, you'll be getting some emails from me with other things that are coming up too. So super. Well, I thank you very, very much for your time. I appreciated getting to know you and your family, and you know where we are. So if there's any questions while you're deployed, then come and see us.
Okay. Have a great night.
Thank you so much. Same for you. So to exit, just go in the top corner with that X and just press on it, and then it's going to ask you to leave. Click again, and then you'll be out of the session.
Perfect. Great.
Perfect. Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, I'm sorry, Francis, that the other 2 people weren't able to make it. You might want to just follow up with them and just ask, you know, like what, you know, if there was like a technical issue, if they just weren't able to make it, but also if they're still interested in watching the video, they can. The only thing with that is it might be hard for some of the audio because Patricia was having some audio issues. That might be a little problematic, but they still get the good information. But it is on Margaret's license, so you'd have to follow up with her if you want the link for the recording on that.
Okay, I'm just writing it down so I remember when I come back from vacation.
Otherwise, great job. It's such a good, I mean, I think this is such a great just a great program in order to get people talking about it. And you know, even if it is just one person, like just me, like just getting to hear other people say, I go through this too, I get jealous too, I struggle with that too, you know, like it's so good. So even if you just reach one person, I think you've done your job and you've helped them. So I love it. I'm glad you're doing this. I'm glad you're running with it. So I appreciate it.
I enjoy doing this. So for this, I'm quite comfortable and I enjoy doing it. I think it's important. I can't say I'm disappointed about tonight because we did reach one spouse that, you know, we haven't in the past, and so she's fairly new to deployment, so I'm happy with that. Yeah. So I think that's good. Charlene, I wasn't 100% sure that she was the spouse that I had seen in the past focus group, but yeah, when we started the session. So for me, I'm wondering, should I pre-screen? Should I look at, just so that it's not the same people coming in? But she did get, because she did get some different conversations, so which is good, and that's what the aim is for here for today. That worked well, but just obviously there's a need for her to reach out, and she wants that connection. So I'm not sure. That was just something that's for me to maybe to think about. Yeah. And good point. I will reach out to the others and go with that. And thank you for the videos, because I found I gave a lot more than what I did the last time. So I find that changes the pace, changes the tone, and it brings in for more discussion. So I like the videos that we included.
Yeah, agreed.
So.
All right, it must be late there, so you get on with your evening, and I'm sure I will see you around here somewhere. So.
I plan on it.
Have a great evening.
Thank you again for doing this. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Have a great night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.